Hey, we are live,
All
baby.
right, we're
Sexual
live there.
frequency, episode 17. Y'all not ready for
17.
this one. Don't be sad because the Dodgers just lost. It's all good. We got tomorrow. It's not over till it's over.
All right.
Welcome to Sexual Frequency, a non judgmental place where we can play, explore, and vibe into the new paradigm of intimacy and sexuality together. Rick Rock with the hard cock. How are you doing tonight, boo?
I'm doing all right, boo boo. How about
Just all
you?
right. Oh,
Well, I'm a little sad right now because the team did lose, but it's all right. Tomorrow's another day.
tomorrow is another day.
That's right. Got to stay
I
positive. Keep the faith.
I am beyond excited and ready to learn tonight as we dive into our topic of the intersectionality. Are you ready? You're not ready. Of sex, kink, faith, and spirituality. Let's just take that in real quick. Because society, religion, our culture has taught us that those things are so separate from each other. And they truly aren't. And tonight we're going to get into it. And we have a very special guest with us tonight. They are a queer, non binary, trans femme kinkster who is also a pastor. Please help us welcome Mix Fix to Sexual Frequency.
Hey, welcome me.
Y'all can make some noise in the studio. We can clap it up.
She does enjoy worship, so.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm really happy to have you here in the studio. I'm excited. This is your first podcast? Yes.
It is.
We're popping cherries, and that's one of my favorite things, guys. My God. But you know what? Before we get into the topic, Ricky, let the people know what time it is.
That's right. It's the pre-roll time. Let me get in there real quick.
Oh,
There we go.
get in there real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, this episode is brought to you by Vision Smoke Shop, baby. Let them hook you up with all of your smoking essentials. So let them make you look sexy. Okay, you don't want to show up with some ragged ass tools, right? No, you want to look sexy when you're smoking, when you're rolling for your bae or your boo or whoever you're fucking with that night. They have stores located in Cali, Texas, New Mexico, and Mexico. They have been smoking the competition for decades, providing you with all of your smoking essentials. From Santa Barbara to San Diego, Vision's got you. Google the closest location and head to it and let them make you look good. Okay? Because what did we say earlier? She loves worship. Okay. This episode is also sponsored tonight by Nuggy Farms, and they are located in the beautiful hills of Mendocino County in the heart of the Emerald Triangle. Look for that name, Nuggy Farms. It is coming to dispensary near you. I love this beat, Rick.
Yeah, right?
And listen, think of Goddess.
Think of
Rick.
Yeah, think of us.
When they do what, Rick?
When you put that tip on your lip.
That's right. When you put that tip on your lip, baby. We also want to invite you to get up close and personal with us. Come in the studio. Join our live stream on Lotus Hustle Life or on TGN Latinx, our YouTube channel. We are live right now, baby. Come sit on my lap. Baby girl, baby boy, baby they, them. We got room for all of you. And we want you all here. Let me tell you.
That's right.
Just got a little warm when I said that.
Right?
I'm just saying. We do got room on our lap, though, right here. Two big thighs for you.
Yeah.
Come
Let
on
me know
down.
so I can bring more water.
Rick always has Rick always sets up the vibe and the water, okay?
That's right.
We also have an update today on our live show, guys. So we know that we had previously announced that Sexual Frequency was going to have their first live show next week with lovers. But unfortunately, due to some scheduling conflicts, we have to reschedule. But don't you worry, we are still in the works for getting Sexual Frequency's first live show on, at some point, hopefully really, really soon, because we want to come out, we want to meet you. And let me tell you, if you are really jonesing to see us live, come out this Friday night. Broadway 11 bar in Culver City. I believe it's a karaoke bar. Ladies Night is going to be there.
That's
I'm
right.
also a co-host on Ladies Night. It'll be
That's
our
right.
200th episode. You heard that right. 200. When was the last time you did something 200 times that you weren't contractually obligated to do? I mean, I'm just saying. I haven't done it 200 times. I've done it maybe like 120 sometimes. But Mysterious Jax has done the show 200 times. Come out and celebrate. It's Ladies' Night's very first live audience episode. So please come out and buy me a drink or a shot. Maybe a shot. And like a watered down, not a watered down one, maybe like a Mexican candy one, like a lemon drop. Cause girl, I can't be having too much tequila because I gotta get my ass on stage and like do a show. Oh, that was a whole mouthful. But speaking of mouthfuls, let's talk about Kinktober.
Let's do it.
Before we actually get into it, Rick, what is going on in our chat?
Okay, so we do have on the YouTube, we have B Ramirez saying what's up.
Hey, what up, B?
Goddess Lorna, what's up? And I'm sorry, that's B.
B.
Oh no, yeah, B Ramirez says up. Then we got B Love City. Goddess Lorna, what's up? Saying Goddess Lorna, what's up?
What's
Carol
up?
Mommy's on there saying maybe you'll go live in San Diego at that smoke shop.
Listen,
Hey.
at Vision Smoke Shop, like that's literally, it's where my family is in San Diego. It's the hub. Carol Mommy, we are coming to you in San Diego, bitch. So you better get your crew because one day we will be there and hopefully very, very soon. Thank you to everybody who's joining us live on YouTube and those of you that are in the Good News Radio Network chat. We also invite you all of your questions for Mixed Fix because we know that you guys have questions. And
I would assume that they do.
And if you don't, you lying. Why you always lying? Stop fucking lying. Listen, the Compassionate Slut Hotline, and tonight will be the Kinkster Slut Hotline, is open.
That's
Call
right.
in. All you got to do is tap on that little icon in the Good News Radio Network app, and it's going to patch you right through to us. So I hope y'all ready.
B Love City with the elbow cough, elbow cough, elbow cough.
Listen, we're about to do this thing. Okay. But before we do get into it, I do want to give y'all a caution, let's just say, and give a content warning that some of the things said tonight may be a trigger for some of you. And they are solely the opinions of our guest, Fix, and they do not represent any of the organizations that they are involved with. So we just want to put that out there to let y'all know.
Yeah, thank you.
If you need to, if you need to turn it down, if this is a little bit too much for you, that's okay. We don't kink shame here. We allow everybody to be in their most authentic expression. And sometimes it doesn't match what your authentic expression is, and that's okay. But the new paradigm is about giving everybody a voice, giving everybody a seat at the table, without making anyone feel any type of way for their own beliefs and what they do. So, number one slut here, or at least that's what I'm aiming for, guys. I don't know who would crown me. I think I would crown myself. But unless Fix, is there do you guys do crowning slut ceremonies?
I don't
in
know
your
that
dungeon?
we do slut ceremonies. I'm sure you can make a scene out of it, but we do have leather titles.
Oh my gosh, can we make a scene out of that? Like me being crowned head slut of something. I don't know. Head whore. I don't know. This is really getting me juicy. But I want to get into it because we have a lot of ground to cover. So let's get started, Fix, because I gave you a very small intro and I wanted to allow you to do it in your own voice, in your own beautiful words. Tell our listeners a little something about yourself and like the roles that you play in the religious community and in the kink community.
Yeah. So I guess I'll take it first. Religious, being that I identify for the sake of anonymity. I am part of a Protestant tradition. That means
Okay.
that in just any denomination that believes in God, Jesus as the Son, and Holy Spirit, so Holy Trinity.
Right.
So I belong to that gigantic umbrella. I've belonged to different denominations. So from growing up very strict, that one was Pentecostal. So attending church as a ritual, as a daily thing.
Oh wait, hold up.
Yes.
You glossed right over that really quick. You said daily.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So there were services. We attended anywhere from like 5 to 6 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other times it was closed.
That seems a little torturous, but we don't shame here. Go ahead.
You know what? We're all some type of masochist. So that was the beginning of it.
I was going to say, maybe that's where it started. Okay, go ahead.
And so from there, just needing to embody who I was and listening to the spirit that called me, I went on a journey to a different state, found a different denomination, found a different way of believing and accepting myself, and then came back to Cali, where I continued to get involved. It's always something that I realized that I am. One of the things that I self-identify is as a community masochist, or like a community bottom. And
okay, we're learning a lot of things here. Can you explain that? Like, because I feel like our audience is very wide and vast, much like, the realm of sexuality. Can you explain what a masochist is?
Yeah, so a masochist is someone who enjoys receiving pain. And the opposite of that would be a sadist, someone that likes
to receive
inflicting pain.
Oh, yeah.
A masochist is the one that receives it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And
so you're a community bottom, you said?
Yes. And
Can
then
we say community power bottom? Like, don't sell yourself short, Fix. Because I feel the power bottom energy coming from you.
I appreciate that. Okay, community power bottom. Because we like to be greedy.
Sometimes, listen, you got to feed the need when it comes up.
When the urge calls.
Yes.
And so I just continued to get involved with my denomination, and the congregation where I was just able to fully accept me. There were times where I would drop like little bombs of like who I was,
right,
and kind of trying to test the waters, like how far can we push this, like how authentic can I be, because growing up there was always something that I had to leave at the door. There was always either my sexuality, the way that I enjoy sex, or just something about myself and my identities that had to be checked at the door because it was not, quote unquote, the appropriate place.
Right.
And so in being able to find that place where things were still foreign and new, but it was like, hey, that's God in you. And I was like, oh, okay. And so, yeah, that's kind of what manifested into me. Actually, no, that's not even what manifested me being a pastor. Honestly, it was just recognizing a need. We'd been through going to different states, talking about the work that we were doing. And I continued to realize that there was a need that wasn't being filled. And I knew that we can create something, but first, in the systems that we live, you need to model something before you get to like tell people how they might want to do something. And so I knew that we had to build and form a different type of base and a structure and a model that then people can transform. And the beautiful thing is that for me, faith isn't something rigid. So it's more of like deconstructing to teach people how to deconstruct to construct.
Mm.
Yeah.
You said faith is something that is not rigid.
No.
That is, say that again.
Faith isn't something that is rigid.
Isn't. Okay.
No.
Yes. I was like, wait, did I catch that right?
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
we'd like it to be, because we want certainty, right? And rules and like boundaries kind of give us that. We're like, well, if you do this,
The
then you get
commandments.
this. And yeah.
Mhm.
And so with that, we also then like learn how to torture ourselves and trying to redeem ourselves, which we don't need to do.
Yeah, we like listen, I'm all for like the pleasure aspect of it. If it's something that you find like pleasurable or you find therapeutic, transformative, you know, of course, but um I grew up Catholic. That's the faith that I was brought into. And it fucked me up. To be honest, like I feel like most people, like once you get into this like certain consciousness and awareness, you're like, whoa, like so much of this has constrained my life, and not just my life and my pleasure, but my authenticity of me being who I truly am. Like for me, once I released my Catholic guilt, was like my whole world transformed. And not because, I, became more sexual or into kink, but it wasn't even in a sexual way at that point in my life, but it was more like, we don't have to view the world like this. Like, this is just the people in this building who have said this is the way that it's supposed to be. And it really is a control. It's about power and it's about control. So when I heard about you, I was like, is there a unicorn pastor out there that I need to be a part of their congregation? Because a big reason of why I left my faith in the Catholic faith was because there were priests up there and they would say some shit that I would be like, bro, did you really just say that, dog? Like, that is so not Jesus. Like,
Yeah.
who are you? And stop saying that. And I just felt like, again, just very constrained of like the life that not even the life that I wanted to live, but for other people. Even, it's like my dad used to always get upset with me because like my first strike with my dad was like me being in middle school and like starting a petition for them to allow altar girls as servers. I went to a Catholic school and my dad flipped his lid.
The controversy.
My dad was like, do you want to do it? And I said, no, I absolutely 1000% do not want to do it. He's like, then why do you care? I said, because there's other girls who want to do it and it's not fair and it's not right. And so that was like step one of like disowning me, right? He was like, damn, she's like she's in middle school and she's already giving me all these problems. Like, fuck. But yeah, there was just like so many things in like my own personal experience. And so when I heard about you, I was like, okay, we need to have them on because this is such a huge and important conversation, because I feel like people live in this world of black and white of like, you can be either or. Like, if you are heavy in the kink scene and world, you are probably an atheist. Like, what people could think, right out there, which is like super ridiculous. But it's like, these are the concepts and constructs that people have, or being taught very early on for like, God, to take this out of my heart because I shouldn't want to like have sex, or I shouldn't want a finger in my butt, whatever it is. It just really fucks us up. So I want to know how it is that you marry these two concepts that can be diametrically opposed, at least the way that we were taught. And I say we, Rick and my age group. I don't know what your age group is, but those of us that are little, not boomers, right? No, we're not boomers. Let's get that straight. But of how we grew up was not in this like loving, accepting way of truly living authentically. So how do you marry those two worlds?
Yeah. Hold on. First, I wanted to talk about something about like what you said about confronting your dad about that. To me, like advocacy, and especially advocacy that doesn't affect you, is God's work. Like God said,
Mm.
like when Jesus talked about our suffering or like what we would suffer, it was about the conflict that we would have with institution, including our own. Because like human nature is to create rules, and we were going to constantly have this interaction. And so for me, like, while you're saying that it was like the beginning of you like being disowned, to me, like that was the beginning of like you doing fucking God's
The
work.
freedom, baby, the
Yes.
freedom.
Like of saying that we are all equal and all
Yes.
called at
Yeah.
the same level. But then to the question of how do I marry these two? I guess for me, it's just like my faith allowed me to accept something that I always had in my life. As a young, first of all, I haven't always identified as non-binary or trans femme. At some point in my life, I identified as male. And so the people that took me in, what I would call my gay godparents, I met them in West Hollywood where I worked, which is Boys Town here in LA. I just didn't resonate with it. And they're like, that's because we don't belong here. They're like, us people, this was not made for us. And then they're like, we're going to go across town and we're going to take you to a bar. And they took me to this bar where it was grimy. It was very blue collar, leather.
Oh, I'm like, Lord, was it Chico's?
No. And for stories, I will not name the establishment.
Okay.
But I found kinky folk. I found cruising, and I found like all these other things that I definitely enjoyed, but there was always still something about myself that just didn't feel as connected. Now I realize that it was like that I just didn't have like this male bond that almost felt like was necessity. Like it was required to join this other community. And so now, through the organizations that I'm involved with, the first one would be Ruckus Pet Pack. So I am an aspiring pet handler. And so
explain to our audience what a pet handler is.
So a handler is essentially someone that can train or can have in a dynamic, whether it be DS dynamics or dominant and submissive dynamic, any interaction that someone that is still a human that has with a human animal. And that can be a puppy, that can be a fox, that can be a raccoon, ponies. So
ponies.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I don't have a desire to like be a pet. But I definitely have a desire to get like a plug with a foxtail.
Yes.
I'm manifesting that. That's gonna be one of my next little endeavors. But Rick, what's going on in the chat? Because I feel like there's a lot of movement.
We do have so we do have Dre Thompson saying, Danny, what up? Danny Polanco saying, hey, join the congregation, Lore. Erica is also on here saying, not you trying to change the Vatican rules.
Yes.
And then back to Dre saying, destroy the binary, no more duality. Erica saying, kink is mutual aid. And then also Be Love City saying, hey, las mujeres, I'm assuming.
Mujeres.
Or mujeres. I'm
yes.
sorry. Yeah.
That's a reference to the godmothers.
Okay.
Oh, I've never heard that. Yeah. Okay, that's new for me. Good.
And then Erica is saying, I want to lead someone on a leash.
Of course you do, bitch. I know you do. It's fucking in you. Okay, I want to go to the comment that's in there that says no more duality and destroy the binary.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because I want to explore more, because I definitely feel like as a human in this form, in this body, we have both masculine and feminine energies and properties, right? And I really feel like world peace will come from these places of being able to accept the two, being able to flow in and out of those two energies, elements, and then also butt play. That's just like, and butt play. If y'all got your ass ate and penetrated, there would be world peace. This is my. Are you laughing or coughing? Those are my things. But when saying like no more duality, um what does that look like? Or destroy the binary? Like, I get the concept of not identifying as something of a gender, right? Of like, this is how I was born, I'm more this or I'm more that, right? We're humans. um but the no more duality part, like, explain that to me a little bit, because in my mind and my construct and what I know of it, like, that's how it's been taught to me. There's masculine traits and there's feminine traits, or and not even traits, but energies, right? And we have both. But I don't know. I mean, it's not your comment, but I'm asking you to explain it. I don't know.
I mean, like, I don't even know that I agree that we all possess it. I think we all can. Do we all want to? Fuck no. Like,
That is true. Yeah.
like for me, it's like, even as identifying as trans femme, like, I still don't identify as female. I acknowledge that there are different energies that flow in me, but like, I still don't identify as female and I don't identify as male.
Right.
To me, it's just like almost fucking non-existent. I'm just
Right.
like,
You're just you.
yeah.
Yeah. I love that. That's what we should all aspire to be, is just be you as authentically as you possibly can. The caveat, though, is that we deny parts of ourselves because society tells us that we have to be or do or act in a certain way. So I know that the road is being paved for these dynamics and constructs to fall apart slowly. We're kicking the boxes down as best we can. This is what we do at Sexual Frequency. Okay, so get your friends up on this fucking show, share us with your friends, because we're kinky. Not super kinky, but we're getting there. We're exploring. This is what it's about. I'm like so juiced. um So you shared a little bit about your journey into being a pastor, like you seeing like a need in the community. And how did that intersect with your journey with kink?
Yeah. So in my coming into like my faith, so one of the things that was just completely prohibited, and mind you, I'm like someone that at some point in my life like accepted, quote unquote accepted, like the idea that I would be condemned to hell. And I was just like, how far do we want to test God today? And it was like, okay, I'm gay, like, okay, like that's where we're gonna stop. And because challenging what was quote unquote made perfect, like in talking about someone's body and someone's genitalia, that was something that I wasn't willing to cross. And it wasn't until I was in a church seated with all types of people, and it just like filled my spirit, like as someone that comes from Pentecostal tradition, it is like very, very heavy on the Holy Spirit. So there's like this still connection that I feel to the Holy Spirit. And so for me, being able to be in that space and be filled with the Holy Spirit was just like, oh shit. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It means that someone denied it from me. But it was all there.
Okay, say that one more time, because you need to repeat that. Like,
that it wasn't. Oh shit. Sorry, sometimes you just gotta remind me.
Sometimes the spirit just comes and drops it, of it being denied to you, that not that it wasn't inside of you, but it was like denied.
Yeah. And so I realized that all my old traditions were just like denying these things. And it wasn't until like I felt the Holy Spirit in that space that I was like, oh shit, the only person that I am like destined to, like the person that I am committed to, is the Spirit. It's not an institution. Even the institution that I am currently part of, like, I don't care if it lives or it dies. I am not tied to an institution.
Right.
I am for the people and of the people. Like, and the reality is that faith can't die. As long as people continue to believe, the faith is alive. Institutions will die. Like, they've died in the past.
Yes.
And they'll continue to die because they don't evolve.
Okay.
Preach.
Preach, absolutely. Yeah. We were having some webcam girls trying
Yeah.
to come into the chat and offer their services. And while we appreciate your services, webcam girls, like our chat right now is to ask questions and to educate ourselves with Fix. Um, so tell me, when you are in your role of a pastor,
Mhm.
is this something that you separate your identity as a kinkster, or is it something that you integrate in the work that you do as a pastor?
So I will say that it integrates just because, like, in my being, I don't know how to separate them.
Mm,
I know how to code switch because, as most POC people, we've
right.
learned code switching. Um, but so there's like code switching for, like, oh, I'm in my professional setting. Like, let me not
Yes.
fuck up my job.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't mean that my values suddenly like checked out, you know?
Right.
And a lot of the values that I form come from BDSM, come from consensual play,
Mm,
come from like
yes.
taking the time to learn,
Yeah.
learn like our history, learn where we've come from and the things that we're evolving into. Honestly, there's like, you were talking about like this time of, or like referring almost to like we had grown up in a different time.
Mhm.
And to me, the reality is that I didn't grow up in a time where, like, sure, my high school had some gay clubs, but it still didn't feel acceptable and it didn't feel
Right.
okay. I was still getting into fights for being gay. I was still
Mhm.
being bullied.
Yeah.
Um, I was being condemned, like all of it. And even to when, like, I was talking about never feeling like I was part of something. Like
Mm,
the first time I decided, you know what, I'm like moving into this place in my life of accepting who I am, then that means that I have to accept this other part of myself now.
mm,
And the first time I went out to a leather event, I just went back to the same bar that I'd always gone to that was
mhm,
hosting a POC event. And it was then where I like realized, oh shit, even though they're POC, it's not for me. Like someone else tried
mm,
to introduce me, try to get them to like pay attention or recognize that I was there with intentionally trying to get involved. And because I did not fit the mold of whatever the fuck
mm.
they're looking for,
Yeah.
it was just like, nah, we don't fuck with that.
That part. I
Yeah.
feel like that's coming into light a lot more now, of like even in communities of us that have been oppressed, there is still always a hierarchy.
Hmm.
There's always a hierarchy, and that is just such fucking bullshit to me. It's like,
Yeah.
but you know the struggle. Sure, it looks a little bit different, but you know what it feels like for someone to not accept you for who you authentically are. And now
Almost deaf.
you're doing the same thing to me. Like, dog, what no, like let's not do that. And that comes in so many different forms, and not just in the kink community, in the spiritual community even, outside of like institutions and religion. So like I've been in the space of like self-healing and the healing arts, I guess you could call it that. And I was in spaces where I had to speak up and be like, excuse me, I'm sorry, you do not speak for all oppressed people, first of all, and like you're no. I have always held the belief so firmly that it's like your value as a human being is not higher than my value as a human being, and
Mm.
that goes for everybody across the board. Even if you are in prison, even if you have done horrific things, our value is the same as a human being. Um, and that's because, and I'm gonna go religious now because why not? There's a pastor in the house. We don't get that a lot here on Sexual Frequency, but I always hated, what is the prodigal son that in the Bible,
Will
right?
always
I
return. Yeah.
fucking always hated that shit because I was the daughter that stood home and did the shit the way she was supposed to. I fucking tended to my fucking land. I stood by my parents' side. I did all that bullshit, right? And my sister was off partying, finding herself, doing all the fucking crazy things that I wanted to do. And I was like, man, what the fuck? This is some bullshit. And then Father Mario, I love you so much. Thank you for this. One day he was doing the sermon and he said, in God's eyes, a crisp brand new $20 bill holds the same value as the crumbled up one that's torn and that's in the mud. It's still $20. And something like that clicked. And sadly, right, because it had to do with money, like, but it really
Capitalism,
it
it speaks to people.
It really does, right? I'm almost like embarrassed to admit that now, but it really did click for me then, and I was like, wow, like no, this resonates with me in a different way. When I was attributing it to my own personal experience, right, like with my sister, and it's like, no, I did this, I did the right thing. I used to be a very different person back then. I used to be very like fucking rigid by the book. I was a prude. Like, oh my God, thank you, baby Jesus, for getting that phase out of my life. But yeah, I'm a firm believer of that. And so the fact that you are here, you were talking about advocacy, and you were talking about another thing we discussed in our previous conversation was like decolonization, right? Decolonization
Yes.
in kink, decolonization even in the, however the way that you can do it in your role as a pastor. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that was so interesting for me when you mentioned that you belong to a, let me see if I'm going to get this right, a queer BIPOC dungeon. Yes? No. Okay,
No.
I fucked that up. Damn. Okay, please correct me.
So, just so like, okay, so I belong to Ruckus Pet Pack, which is
Okay.
trans, non-binary, intersex, built by and for trans, non-binary, intersex, POC folk exclusively. And then I am also part of Obsidian. And Obsidian is a QTI BIPOC only.
Define QTI BIPOC.
Oh, sorry. Queer, trans, intersex, Black, Indigenous people of color. And so Obsidian throws parties and educational events for QTI BIPOC folk. And then I am part of Threshold. And Threshold is a community-owned dungeon here in LA. It is a full nonprofit organization, education-based also, but it is a pansexual dungeon, which means that every sexual orientation, every gender, every sexuality, however and whoever you are, it's a space for you as long as you can respect others.
Fix is just making my pussy heart beat with all of those things. I feel like I have found my home in so many ways. Like, I cannot wait to go to one of these events. I'm beyond excited. I just asked Rick on our way here, hey, Rick, like, are you down to go with me?
Yeah.
He's nodding his head, guys. He says,
I'm down.
yeah.
So we had a comment on here. Dre Thompson was saying, would you say it's a form of self-hate? This is, I think, going back to earlier what you were talking about, Lore. But then B Love City saying, hey, to the pastor's comment right now of all the
pansexual everybody. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Dre, let me know what you're referring to so we can answer your question. Yeah. But Fix, okay, go ahead. So tell us about that space, because I almost fell out my chair because people say decolonization and they just say, oh, we're gonna have like a room full of people of all colors, all orientations, and we did our job. But you started breaking some shit down for me. So can you please let our freaks know what that looks like in those spaces?
Yeah. So first, with Ruckus and Obsidian, we purposely create spaces for QTI BIPOC people only, because we realize that in culture, like a lot of the times we are fetishized. And like we want to be able to participate with, like, I want to be able to go and not know that I am like some creepy white man's like fantasy in a way that I did not consent to. And I also want to know that like my gender is valid at all moments, that like every part of my identity is just accepted. And because like QTI BIPOC people hold so many intersectionalities in our identities, we understand there's something that oh fuck, what's her name? The Orange is the New Black. Laverne Cox, thank you. She said
Love,
that,
by the way.
Yes, she said that queer and trans people see the world through a prism, that we don't just see something from like one lens, but we see it through like so many because of our intersectionalities. We don't just get the luxury of just having like a single vision. We're always having to like look at scenarios in like a million different ways. And so because that's just natural to us, just like code switching is, things that we learn as children, things that we learn just by observing, white folks don't have to learn that shit. And so for us, it's being able to create space for us and by us. And then through the dungeon, I would say that in recent years, they're working on making sure that the culture is changing. It was always founded on the intention of being inclusive, but the reality is that it's not only until a few years ago where we started reframing what we thought inclusion meant. We thought inclusion meant accept someone coming into your space. But the reality is that for someone to come into your space, they need to have access to your space, which means that they need transportation, they need funds to like get into your space. Your people then need to be mindful of the way that they speak to people, the way that they address people. And so those are things that you just kind of have to teach throughout time. And so through the dungeon, we've now been able to form something called IDEA, which stands for Inclusivity, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility. And through these programs, through this committee or through this panel, we're able to look at policies, language, in different ways that the organization does things. So the ways that like even in the last 2 years that we've been able to change things is by creating a scholarship program for those that cannot afford membership dues and want to become involved. And also finding ways that people can advocate for themselves or reach out to us, like saying, hey, I experienced this at the dungeon and I felt like it was racist, but I didn't know how to address it. And therefore, they know that they have advocates now. There's someone that you can go to and speak to someone. Yeah, there's just different ways that we're trying to change shit up. Between language, about genitalia, like just all of it. Because you want to make sure, like really creating inclusion means that you are now purposely thinking about the people that aren't here. Like who the fuck is not, who exists and who is not present. Now we need to go and make sure to make space for them before you go invite them.
You said that to me and I was going to bring it up in case you didn't. It's like, we have a seat for you here, even though you're not here yet. Right? It's not like you show up at a party and it's like, oh my God, everybody make space, scoot over, go sit next to that person and get an extra chair and bring the couch out from the house.
Or like, I'm about done eating, let me get off.
Right?
Like the last bocado, like real quick.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you don't need a chair, right? Like you could eat standing up. And that's a beautiful thing. The kaleidoscope thing that you brought up also is like, I hate to use this term because it's like, it's bullshit because there shouldn't be beauty in like all this trauma, right? But like to be able to see through a lens like that, I mean, sadly, right? Because this is a world that we're living in, but that is a motherfucking life skill.
Yeah. And to be honest, it's like, my thing is, white people, y'all need to learn that y'all need to start like moving the fuck aside. Like, point period blank. Like, I ain't got the time to teach you. We are not in the phase of life where we can take it nice and slow and steady and like, sure, learn on the way, but like there are times where you're gonna have to learn to step aside and give over your power because that's what's really gonna create change. Just even in the way that like Obsidian does sliding scale pricing, which means that the lowest ticket is X amount and then it goes higher and higher. But the people that we prioritize with the lowest price is sex workers and BIPOC folk.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're being mindful of the way that we are intentionally creating spaces. Other people that have more funds, they're more than willing to pay like a higher price to then create access. But that's like it's honestly once these things are embedded into you, and as POC people, we we don't need someone to like teach us in a academic setting what these things are.
Mm-hmm.
They're just embodied in us. So for me, I honestly think like that honestly the future is queer and trans. Other people just need to like
Yes.
learn to like go with the fucking flow,
Yeah.
because
Accept it.
we are going lightning speed, and we are being authentically us and not giving a fuck.
Yes, I love that. And I say that to others. The future is fluid. The
Mhm.
future is fluid. And that doesn't mean that everybody is going to be, that we don't have to look like each other to accept that that is fact, that the future is absolutely fluid.
Mhm.
Because you said a key word that I love so much is being embodied. It's something that's embodied in us. It's not something that we have to like learn. We just have to be able to scoot the bullshit out to be able to tap into our divinity
Mhm.
in ourselves, in our body, and just be in the knowing, be in the knowing of who you are, be in the knowing of the way you want to move in the world and how you want to advocate, to have that for everybody across the board. Like it's not like a gatekeeping shit, right? Like
Yeah.
no, like we're here for everybody. So fuck, like this is just so juicy. Like I love it. And I'm learning so much. Like you are an incredible human being, and I'm so happy that our paths have crossed. I feel like there's a lot that we can learn, from each other. So I'm happy that you're here. I do want to ask if there's anybody in the chat who has any questions, and then Rick, what's going on?
Yeah. So Erica was saying a pansexual nonprofit dungeon, 3 of my favorite things. Dre Thompson though, hashtag pan life, but the question was, I'm asking about the hierarchy in the community. So referring back to the form of self-hate, that was what that's what he chimed in saying. I'm asking about the hierarchy in the community. But then he kept going and saying kaleidoscope visions were superheroes.
Yes.
Then they don't teach you that in school.
The
So
life skill, yeah.
the life
They
skills,
definitely don't.
and then Bruce Lee said it, be like water.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And because I do love Bruce Lee too so much.
I'm like, missed the reference.
And then we have Hot Tea saying, "What's up, freaks?"
What's up, Hot Tea?
Yeah, and I see that we had some people join, but nobody's.
Oh, Mysterious Jax joined the chat a while ago.
Yeah.
What's
Hot
up,
Tea.
Jax?
So Hot Tea chimed in. What's up, freaks?
Thank you guys for all being here with us. And they absolutely do not teach life skills in school. Let's be honest. They really don't teach you life skills in school, unfortunately, because that's just another institution that has to die in the way that we have like grown up and experienced it. So don't get me started on that. That could be a whole other ass episode. I wanted to talk a little bit about the conversation that we had before having you as, signing you on as a guest. You made a comment to me that was like, you said so many things. Like I didn't know what to expect when we jumped on a call together. And you just blew me away in so many ways. You made a couple of comments that you said that I wanted to share with our listeners, that it is dehumanizing for you to tell people that you are a pastor. Do you remember the context in which we were talking?
Yeah, and it's more of that, like when I tell people, it's like their reaction feels dehumanizing, because as soon as I tell someone that I am a pastor, generally people already kind of have an idea. I'm cussing like a sailor even on here.
Yes, we love it. We're here for it.
Yeah.
And so I am very opinionated, generally smoking, and
Yes.
so there's like a whole lot of things
Mhm.
about me. But then as soon as someone finds out, oh, they're also a pastor, then it's like, oh, all your morals, all your ideas, all your theologies, suddenly I'm supposed to embody that.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
and to me, that shit's dehumanizing, because now I am no longer Fix. I am no longer who I am. Now I am whatever you expect me to be.
Mm.
And to me, that is like, at least the way that I try to embody it, that is like the most repressive way to like express your faith. Like, your faith is about what spirit is calling you to live out. Like, spirit did not
Oh
call me to
my
live out
God.
your bullshit.
Say that one more fucking time. You forgot. I think you said it's like your faith is what you are being called.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
what spirit is calling you to.
Yes.
Like, the relationship that we're supposed to have with creator is very individualistic, and it doesn't matter what denomination or what faith. It all matters about like what you are doing, not about like whoever the hell else is doing.
Yeah.
Like, there's even texts that tell you not to judge and like to like stay in your lane. It like says like, worry about you, but
Yeah.
like somehow human nature is
Don't
like,
be a nosy bitch.
like, I gotta go see que está haciendo la María y la Junlana.
Yeah.
Like,
Fulanita y menganita. Oh God.
you know?
Yeah.
And honestly, I low key now am thinking that that shit is still like part of like colonizations, because like we were taught to like snitch out on each other.
Yes. We were taught to snitch out. We were taught to like keep our head down. We were
Mhm.
taught to like have this hierarchy of who can tell us what is right and what is wrong.
Yes.
And you know, come on.
Hierarchy attached to the patriarchy. It's
Yes.
that bullshit.
Yeah, that fucking part. That's the shit we're trying to burn down, okay?
Okay.
If you got the matches, come on down. Sexual frequency. We're gonna start a collective. You also said something else, and it was, I want to say that we were talking in the realm of being dominant or being submissive, and you said to be the most, you have to be the least.
Mm.
That resonated in my body so deeply, because, and as it relates to kink, right, like in that scope or in that lens, it's like you have to be able to understand, I feel, what it's like to be like in a sub position
Mhm.
before you can be like I don't want to say a good dom, but before you can be effective, I feel like, in that energy and power exchange with somebody. And so that, when you said that to me, and it was like in the context of spirituality, in the context of kink, that brought it like completely home and completely together for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was like, I think the context was that I was talking about my submission to community,
Yes,
and not to
probably.
a person. Yeah. And so I self-identify as I think, yeah, we did say it, that I identify as a community bottom or
Mhm.
sub. And for me, that's what it means, like, to serve others. Like, that's
Yes.
part of my calling. And that's not in, para me, it's like also like, my calling isn't everyone's. I know that some people could not do the shit that I do. Some
Right.
like people will often tell me like, I would not be able to hold the spaces that you hold.
Yeah.
Like, that's too much shit to like try and carry. And for me, it's just, I honestly feel like I was prepared and built for this.
Mm.
It doesn't scare me. There's constantly things that I have to consider, right? Like my
Yes.
anonymity and things like that.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, for me, it's like, my people will always be there, and like the people, I will continue to serve them. Like,
Yeah.
that's my mission and my call.
That's really so beautiful, because you know, there are people who are really gifted with being able to hold space, and I feel like in being the role of a pastor and in being in kink, those go hand in hand. Like you really, in Erica, I think that she's still in the chat, we talked about this, of like being able to hold space for people is one of the most I don't want to say not important, that's not the word that I'm looking for, but it's so special when you're able to do that. And when you are in kink, when you are in a scene, this is what you're doing. You are giving of yourself, and you are being able to hold a space for somebody else and for yourself to be able to play out whatever fantasy, whatever emotion, I don't know what other words you would say, of somebody who wants to live out this experience, and is really a beautiful thing. And it's so unfortunate that it's widely viewed as like it from a perverted lens, when there actually is so much power, so much beauty, so much God in that, but we like, now when I say we, I mean like society views it as like, oh no, you like, that's the undesirable, that's the people that are whatever X, Y, and Z, however you want, people want to label um individuals that are into things that are not necessarily accepted as the norm. When I feel like, if we really were true and authentic to ourselves, you would be surprised what you open yourself up to,
Oh yeah.
and all the learning that you can do for yourself, for the partner, the people that you're with, your community. Like you're speaking on a big community level. I can speak to what my interactions are with individuals, and things that I have felt, like feeling very spiritually connected when I am in whatever realm you want to talk about in sexuality. Last week I talked a little bit about being in a position where I was with somebody who wanted me to slap them, and I was like, I can't slap you. Like, we had a long conversation. They wanted me to be very like demeaning, and I was just like, I don't know if I could do that. I was scared. But then through the conversation, through the energetic exchange that we had, I was like, okay, I can't slap you, but listen, I'm gonna pop you in the mouth a little bit. I could do that, right? I could call you X, Y, or Z, like, and it's getting into that like energy. And it was so much about opening myself, being able to be in a dynamic where it was something that I thought I was really scared to do, because of like the abuse that I had gone through when I was like a kid. But this put me in such a powerful place, and not even power over the individual, but in the exchange of pleasure that they were receiving, and that we were both so comfortable to open to each other in that way, right? Like we felt safety to be able to do it. And I'm like, there's so much beauty in this. And yeah, I know that's very vanilla, you know. But listen, I'm gonna go to my first dungeon, guys. Like,
Yes.
it's happening. I'm so excited. Um Ricky, what do we have
Yeah.
going on in
So
the
Dre,
chat?
Dre saying he's got the gas to the matches that you were.
Yes,
referring to.
Dre. Who is Dre? Is he's one of your Oh,
Marquez.
And then
oh my god. I was like, I need to meet Dre. What the
and then PB Power Bottom. So
Hey,
B Love City.
Power Bottom.
B Love City put
Hey.
UHU. I don't know the reference. Or maybe that's what it is. Erica's in the chat though. Like
Hey.
she says, I'm here, Mama, but she's saying being authentic in your sexuality and the sex you want to have is a definition of holding space for yourself first.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that. Oh my gosh, so powerful. Gosh, I feel like there's so much more that we can just dive into, and we are at the hour, guys. Dang. But you know what? We did have one listener question that I wanted to ask you. We had a question that says, what do you think the top 3 taboos, the most taboo kinks are? The top 3. And we talked about this because it's been Kinktober, where like everybody's sense of kink is different, you know?
Mind you, they're not my extremes.
Right?
But I would say that scat is definitely one.
Okay, tell the people what scatting is.
Scat is shit play.
Okay.
I would say body mods, whether you're cutting something or whatever.
Okay, no, hold on. Don't grace over that. Like, what? Say that again. What is it? Please let us know.
No, body mods. So it can
body mods.
Yeah, so body modifications.
Oh, okay,
so
okay,
it can I can tell you my fantasy, but like that's a whole nother thing.
I mean, share if you're comfortable.
Oh
Sure.
yeah, I want to see a fucking penectomy. I want to see someone's dick get cut off.
Oh,
Yeah.
you went Caligula on me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
That's
definitely
interesting.
like, and if they can be conscious, so I can like degrade them while it's happening, all the much
Oh my
better.
God. Have you actually seen the movie Caligula?
No.
Okay, you have to see the movie Caligula because this is a vibe that I got when you said that to me. I can't remember what year this movie came out. It's like this obscure movie, and my friends were like, we're gonna go watch Caligula. Can you guess what friends, Ricky?
No,
Oh,
I
you're
was
laughing at
yeah, the comment. Pain Olympics, thank me later. LOL. It's from Dre.
But yeah, you have to watch the movie Caligula because that doesn't happen in the film, but actually does it? I
It's got
remember
me intrigued.
going to this film, and it was I want to say it was like, I'm not gonna say their names, but it was a couple of us, and I was in my like prude days, and the things that I saw in that movie, I was like, are you a fan of the Smiths?
Yes.
You know the song, like Caligula would have blushed. Well, I saw that movie and I was like, holy shit, what is making Caligula blush? Because this motherfucker is out there. And I feel like if I saw the movie now, I would view it from a whole different perspective. But I think you would like it. I think
Okay.
check it out, Caligula. That was okay, so that's 2. So scatting, you think it's
yeah, scat play definitely.
body
Body
modification?
mods. What could be the third one?
Anybody
Hook
else?
suspensions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've seen some of that.
Dre says race play.
Oh.
Hard ass limit, but yes.
Very taboo. I
Yes.
agree. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you,
limit.
Dre. Hard ass limit though.
You know, when somebody like, it's funny because the first time somebody asked me like, what are your hard limits? I was like, I don't know what that means. Like, what do you mean? I'm down to fuck. And they're like, oh, like, you're so pretty. Like, you have no idea.
Oh,
And
like a baby.
yes, I was a total wet behind the ears, the whole thing at fucking 40 years old. Okay. And then now I'm like, what's the worst thing somebody can tell me is you could do whatever you want to me. And it's like, excuse me, ma'am, sir. No, you don't know the things that I want to do to you. So you can't consent without knowing.
Yeah.
Because you think that you would let me do anything, you would not. Trust me.
I have to say that as a sadist, I honestly, that is the response that I hate the most. Like, way to turn me off.
Yeah. You could do anything. And then when I'm on step 3 of what I want to do, they're like, oh no, definitely not that. We
I'm
can't.
like, you can spank me.
I'm like, this
okay.
is PG. And like PG for me, right? Because my PG is different than your PG. But by my level 3, they're like, oh, hell fucking no, you bitch, like you are crazy. And I'm like, I told you that you weren't gonna let me do all the things that I wanted to do to you. I'm just saying. That was 4. We got 4, so I'm down with that. This show has gone by way too fast.
Super fast.
It's been so amazing. I love having you on, and it was just like so enlightening, and I would love to have you come back.
Absolutely.
With more time. And you did bring some friends with you in the studio that are like giving the support. I love it. Dre Thompson is here live. I'm just saying. Dre Thompson from the chat is here live. We got to hug and everything. Oh my God. What do we have going on in our TGN chat, Rick?
Yeah, so Hot Tea is saying that's a no for me, dog. Keep that the poop emoji inside your tripas. And there's an anime Caligula 2 that's pretty freaky.
Oh, Hot Tea, reveal yourself. Who is Hot Tea? I love that you're giving us the hot tea on what anime to watch. The freaky anime is Caligula. Okay. I love that. But man, our time is up. Again, thank you so much for being here. I want to just further continue these conversations because I feel like all the things that we touched on can be like an episode in itself. So I would love to have you on again. I would love to attend the
Yes,
dungeon.
absolutely. Let's get you out to your first play party.
Julia Morales chimed in. That's my pastor. Woo woo.
Congregation
I love that.
representing. Yes.
Awesome. I love that.
They're coming in strong for you, and I love that.
Hati says it's Senior Twill.
Oh, what's up, Twill? I will be seeing you on Friday for the Ladies Night live show. I love it. Yeah.
For a second, I thought we weren't on over here.
Oh, right. That was a little bit scary. The
scary
chat was
there.
a little bit quiet.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, Twill. We appreciate you. And then what else do we have going on before we wrap up, Rick?
That's about it. I mean, Erica did also say race play at the same time Dre did. So Dre said, I'll get you a soda. I'll get you a soda, Erica. And then that's it. She says, yes, please. And that's it on the chat
and
there.
then that's my pastor. Thank you all.
And that's my pastor,
all of you guys for joining us
Way
in the
too
chat. On YouTube Live, share us with your friends. We are kinky. We are getting there. Okay. Thank you for joining us on the Good News Radio Network app. Tell all of your friends about this episode because this is how we start to shift mindsets, is having conversations, talking to individuals that you may not agree with. I mean, you didn't say anything I didn't agree with, but I'm sure there's people out there, you know, who
I didn't get on my sacrilegious shit.
We'll say that for the next time.
Yes.
On the next episode of Sexual Frequency, we can definitely talk about that too. Because it is so important. And again, a fluid future does not mean that you have to do anything that you don't want to. It just means accepting our true nature.
Yes.
Which that's just, it is what it is. It's be embodied. That is like,
take it at your pace, explore at your pace. Don't let anyone rush you into anything.
So important.
Negotiate your scenes. Don't let people rush you into that shit either.
Okay, like listen, I'm like so juiced, like for like when I get to actually like have a legit scene.
I almost brought floggers and I was like, no, it's not that type of interview.
We would have been happy to like do like, you know, demonstrate. But yeah, I'm
Next
so
episode.
excited. Like I'm just dipping my toe into the world of kink, and to have you here, like I feel like I have a fucking superstar Oscar fucking actor, like the trifecta. Like I feel like, what is it
you
called?
got a whoopee.
Yeah, what is it called when they get like the Tony, the Oscar?
Oh,
an EGOT. Yes, I feel like we have the EGOT here in the studio, and I appreciate you so much, and for the work that you're doing for the community. It's so beautiful and eye-opening, and I cannot wait to, you know, participate and like get in this world. I'm so excited. You're clearly not wanting people to find you, and that's completely okay. We appreciate you being on. But let me tell you, they're wearing like the best shirt that says Born Perfect. It's just the best.
And a whole bunch of like gay flags and like kink flags.
I love it.
I like that. Yeah.
I love it. And listen, we are still in Kinktober, so continue exploring what you consider your dark side. Continue exploring your shadows and do it in a way that is proud, because when you come out and you share your story, it gives people the permission to share theirs and to say, oh my God, I might want to try that. So we just invite you to be embodied, be the you that is the most authentic, the thing that speaks to your soul. Because what is it that you said? Man, I'm going to go back and get all of these fucking quotes because they were so good about like spirit calling you to do you, basically.
Oh yeah. Listen to the spirit and what it's calling you to do.
Listen to the spirit and what it is calling you to do, because there's nobody else that is like you.
Mm-hmm.
You are here for a reason. You are here to exist. You are here to take up space. You are here because it is your your birthright to experience pleasure and
Mhm.
experience joy
Your journey. Yeah.
in your most authentic self.
So now I'm being like, I know we're past our hour, but I'm just like being moved to call to like leave you all with like this last part from at least me.
Please.
Please, yeah.
That to me, it's like, as a Protestant or as a Christian, like one of the things that I value in my life is Jesus' sacrifice.
Mm.
So for me, not to authentically live out my life to its fullest is devaluating the sacrifice that he made for
Mm.
me. Like he did all that shit with fix in mind. So like all this shit, I just need to live out my fucking fullest self.
That part.
Because that's like what he made me for.
That is a
Amen.
motherfucking word. Okay.
Amen.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Yeah,
Hallelujah.
amen, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, see, this was a dope show, is what Dre's saying, and everyone's agreeing. B Love City says, yep. Danny Polanco saying, when is part 2? B saying it was good, part 2 and 3.
Yes.
And last comment from Dre, word.
I feel like we need a series coming on here, seriously, because there's so much wealth, so much knowledge. And that was a motherfucking word. We are going to close out our show like we do every week with the wise words of our ancestors, my mother, who said, play with yourself every night so that you know your body and you know what you like. I'm Goddess Lore. This is Rick Rock.
Yeah.
Mix Fix.
Mix Fix in the
And
house.
Mix Fix.
And our guest.
And our in-studio
In-studio
guest.
guest.
Woo, woo!
Gris and Marquez.
Yes.
Yes.
We thank you so much for joining us, all of you that joined us in the chat. Share us with your friends because we are kinky. And listen, this is how we do it. Share us. Because you know what? You don't know how many people out there are going to want to join this congregation. I don't know. We'll somehow get you connected. Like this is a bridge. So we will see you. Hopefully you can come out Friday night, Broadway 11 Bar at 7:00 p.m. Ladies Night Radio Show, episode 200 celebration, first live audience show. We hope that you can join us. And Sexual Frequency, baby, every Wednesday at 9:00. You could catch us live on the Good News Radio Network.
That's right.
See you next week.
See you next week, y'all.
Go Dodgers.
That's right.
Geniuses are born.
Minutes and 20. Oh, you don't have to unmute me.
That's all right. All right, bye, guys. Bye, YouTube.
Adios. Thank you guys
Adios,
for joining
YouTube.
us. Bye, YouTube. Share the link with your friends. Make sure you follow Lotus Hustle Life and TJ and Latinx.
Peace out, y'all.
Gracias.